Okay, I think I finally get the mic problem resolved from last video. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it sounded like absolute crap. But today I wanted to talk about something that seems to be dying out in today's age, at least somewhat. I wanted to talk about the big boogeyman of gaming, the monster that sleeps under your bed at night. I want to talk about AAA gaming just as a whole. When you guys think about AAA gaming, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Because mine's honestly disgust, because over these past few years, the AAA market has just been absolute shit. And I'm definitely not alone on that. There seems to be an increasing level of skepticism arising within the gaming community. It seems like before anything gets released these days, people are already shooting spitballs, and rightfully so. People are pissed that their beloved titles have just turned into absolute cash grabs, just nothing more than treating you like their personal piggy bank. Also, don't even get me started about the quality of these games, but we'll touch on that later on the video. But gamers and gamerettes, before I go on, if you all can consider subscribing, that would mean the most to me. I'm trying to get this channel off the ground, to find my audience, and just grow overall. So if you like the content, then please consider subscribing for me. That would be awesome. When we look at titles that used to absolutely slap the fucking tits off of people like Halo, Call of Duty, Battlefield, and plenty of more, they've really fallen off big time. I will say this, with the recent release of Battlefield 6, it's definitely made a resurgence. That game is actually pretty awesome. Also, just a quick edit here, Our Creators came out after I was done recording this video, and I guess it's AAA. Honestly, I had no fucking clue. It doesn't really feel like it in the best way possible. Really feel like this game will definitely be something to behold in the future, and I definitely want to make some content about it, maybe do some live streaming, but regardless, let's get back to the video. Typically, I'm a big fan of dropping my balls on anything that has AAA slapped across it. Like I said earlier, Battlefield 6 seems pretty good, and honestly seems like a big return point back to the original franchise of Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. If you played those games, which in their prime, you know what I'm talking about. Those games were the shit. Those titles tickle my butthole in all the right ways, playing countless hours in multiplayer, and it's definitely one of the reasons that I never went outside or got any pussy growing up in high school. All jokes aside, I may be biased because I was looking for a very arcadey shooter that was large scale and just absolutely fucking chaotic as Hell Let Loose, which led me down the route of Battlefield 6 getting hyped for that game. It was released at a perfect time because I was getting kind of old of the slow gameplay of Hell Let Loose. If you've played the PTSD riddled simulator that is Hell Let Loose, you'll know what I mean when I say that. I mean, shit, man, sometimes you'll just be mobbing through the trenches or in a field and you just catch a stray from little Timmy 400 meters away camping in a bush, and then you're set back waiting 20 seconds to respawn in your own spawn. So when Battlefield 6 came out, it almost gave me that level of chaos that Hell Let Loose actually gave me, but it didn't come with the punishment that Hell Let Loose would give you when you were to die, which you do a lot in that game. Nonetheless, Hell Let Loose has been one of my favorite titles for the past few years, mainly just due to the realism aspect of it, gameplay, and semi-small communities that surround the game. The whole reason I brought up Hell Let Loose is because, well, first of all, it kind of compares to Battlefield in some aspect, but to relate it back to AAA gaming, Hell Let Loose was a Kickstarter game, right off the rip. Super small team making it. So with a super small team making it, that comes a super small budget, right? I mean, this thing was made on a fucking Kickstarter, right? I mean, it doesn't really get much more small scale than that. So when you compare this to other AAA platforms and you compare the content on how it looks, how it feels, how it plays, it's night and day. Like, yeah, you may have a AAA studio cooking up something crazy when it comes to gameplay, right? May have a really good map, may have a really good sandbox, may just have a really good game overall, right? But when you compare the levels of cost and the level of people making these things, it's just, I can't compare them. When you look at Hell Let Loose and how much it raised on Kickstarter, it was approximately $220,000. Now, if we look at the cost for development for Battlefield 6, that exceeded $400 million. But like Halo, Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty, Battlefield, really whatever's in the AAA market, these numbers are pretty normal, which is fucking insane to me because given the amount of content that we have compared to something like indie games, which, by the way, have been cooking hard as hell lately, it's just not even a comparison. Let's look at games like Terraria. That game was only made for a few $1,000, man. Had a very small dev team of around 10 people for it. Balatro, which only costed one man a few $1,000s to make, and the same thing with Stardew Valley. Even with some of the little pricier games like Hades 1 and Hades 2, which came at around under $15 million, which I know is not a small number, that dev team was around 20 people, which is very small in comparison to these AAA studios. We also have games like Subnautica, RimWorld, and especially Helldivers, whom were all made by very small dev teams coming out of the rip. There are obviously plenty more indie games that we all have come to love and that have absolutely been decimating the Steam charts and making AAA developers question literally everything, and rightfully so, man. I mean, at a discounted price for what some of these games are, like $10-15 to buy compared to what games are now, like $80. I can see why. Obviously, you get way more bang for your buck with those games. And now you have other aspects to deal with, like the Steam Deck, just the rise of handhelds in general, that are putting these indie games almost at the forefront, because obviously these machines can't be running these hardcore AAA games that have horrible optimization and need a NASA and PC to run them correctly. I feel like because of those issues, that really puts these indie games above these AAA games in terms of replayability and portability now. Also, some other perks with indie games is that I feel like a lot more people can be more creative with their work, right? Because when we look at these AAA studios, they're really confined to just one idea or a few ideas. It just feels like there's more restrictions being put into place for these AAA studios. And with indie developers, they're pretty much just experimenting left and right with all of their things, right? I mean, if you look at games like Clair Obscur, that game was probably one of the best games I've ever played, and it was made by a few developers from Ubisoft. And from my understanding, why those devs left is because they couldn't be creative enough, right? They weren't given the chance to expand ideas, so they just went and developed their own studio and made, honestly, a fucking masterpiece. I feel like these AAA studios just want to expand to one thing, and that's just a broad audience. It's always a broad audience, I feel like. And I don't know why that's the case, because a game made for everybody is a game made for nobody. People like specific games with specific niches, and that's why indie game is so successful, is because they all fill a niche at a very affordable price, which is something I talked a little bit more about earlier. But just price and accessibility, it's just more affordable, especially in today's economy, man. You just don't know if you're gonna fucking lose your job tomorrow. So when you want to do your hobby, that being gaming, these price points are really, really starting to matter. And then you have Nintendo wanting to bring prices all the way up to $80 now, and then these other bitch-ass corporations are wanting to follow suit. So you're going to see Microsoft and Sony raise their prices all the way up to $80 when you can get a game that's half the price, say Clair Obscur, which costs, I think, $40, and get a way better game than you would with these AAA studios. And I feel like these indie games have excelled so much graphically, right? I feel like they've really evened the playing field with the use of, like, say, Unreal 5, right? Which I know is a buggy mess, but still, like, everything in Unreal 5 for the most part looks amazing. Look at, like, Body Cam, for example. It's first-person shooter, which honestly looks fucking horrifying. I've never tried it. If you've tried it, leave a comment down below, tell me how it is, because honestly I've been kind of wanting to play it, but I'm pretty skittish when it comes to those types of games. Or if you look at Escape from Tarkov, has that very military realistic vibe going for it. Now I know Escape from Tarkov's been under a lot of shit, but it was made by a pretty small developer team, at least when it was first starting. I don't know about now. It probably has expanded into a much larger studio as the game has progressed. But again, when I'm talking about indie games, I'm talking about startups, right? Games that started small, that gained an audience over time. Now, I can keep glazing indie games forever, but the whole point of this video is to take a dump on AAA titles, so let's talk about a few. No, I feel like the best game to start this out with, and one that has crushed my balls, was Halo Infinite, or as I call it now, Halo Shitfinite. Don't get me wrong, it seemed like everybody had a hard-on when this game released, and especially when the first trailer dropped. You know, the one where they showed OG Master Chief in his Mjolnir armor, holding his helmet like a certified badass, ready to go crush some brutes' faces, while the Halo piano music was playing in the background. We were back in the Halo ring, and everybody was speculating all sorts of shit. With Flood coming back, are we going to see Arbiter again, etc. Then I feel like time went on, and the negative rumors started coming out. The gameplay dropped, and we saw him, Craig. And at that point, I knew we were fucking cooked. If you don't know who Craig is, go look him up. Actually, I'll just pop a photo up on the screen of him. It's a good meme. Nonetheless, the game got delayed. People were pissed. Then the game released, and to be honest, the game was pretty good. People liked the core gameplay, but there were a few major issues with things. I think the biggest issue was the lack of content, and I think everybody can agree with that. We didn't even have a fucking Slayer playlist off the bat. Another issue was the lack of customization, which, by the way, they made a fucking major point before the game released. They're like, oh, Halo Infinite's gonna have infinite levels of customization, blah, blah, blah. It's like, why do I have to pay $5 for fucking orange? The color orange. That's just how down bad we were when it came to the customization, a core Halo feature. So between having, no playlist to keep replaying and nothing to grind for, no armor to put on, except for if you paid $5 for Orange, then you're left with a shit game. And it died out, rightfully so, right? Now, I don't want to get too balls deep about Halo Infinite because there are a few more titles that I want to mention in this video, and this video is already getting kind of long, but the budget for Halo Infinite was 500 million fucking doubloons, guys. That's a lot of money. A whole lot of money. $500 million. I was a major Halo fan for years, dumped literally thousands of hours into Halo Reach, and considered myself a diehard. The game was truly the reason I didn't touch grass and got laid in high school. I know I said that earlier about Battlefield, but this was the game. I was too busy sweating out BTB blasting heavy metal into my fucking headphones. Don't know why I did that, but it's true. Truly a testosterone-fueled time. Nonetheless, I'm still excited to see Halo titles, even though 343 has crapped all over my chest over and over and over again. I guess we'll see what we get in the future. They just announced Halo 1 Remake. By the way, I made a video on that. I'll put it in the end screen at the end of this. A quick side note, and a note that I made in one of my other Halo videos, is that I feel like sometimes these big corporations just absolutely hate money. Let's take Halo 3 for example. Slap a slightly new coat of paint on it, leave everything the same. I'm talking no microtransactions, no sprint, no item shop. Whatever it is, don't add it. Just leave the game the same. I want achievements to unlock armor. I want recon grind back. I want game chat, proximity chat back. Like, sorry, little Jimmy. I don't care if you have to hear some gamer words while someone's blasting 3 Days Grace in the game chat. Everything they had in OG Halo 3, just a slight graphical update, and it'll print money for them. Release it onto Steam for $30, and it'll blow everybody's socks off. You'll have the people that grew up with the game and new people flooding in to play it. But no, we can't get that because Moneysoft doesn't like money, apparently. I'm aware that there may be some issues with just throwing a new coat of paint on, but I bet it wouldn't take $500 million to do so. Shit, get an indie developer to go and do it. I bet they'll do it for a lot lower of a cost and a lot better than any AAA studio will do it. Speaking of slapping new coats of paint on things, let's talk about Call of Duty, or Call of Duty as some of you call it. Tell me this, when was the last time you played Call of Duty and it's felt any different to you? Yeah, you can't answer that question. I know that we get movement changes year to year, but God, I'm so exhausted by it. It's like one year we're fucking sprinting backwards and then the next year we're running on walls. I mean, dude, we've ran on walls like 5 times already in the past decade. Can we change something up? Or just go back to the original formula that Call of Duty was built on? Boots on the ground, simple gameplay? Shit, just give me MW2. I'm talking 09 MW2. I feel like all they do is just use the same guns from previous titles and slap a new skin on them and call them different names. It seems like they just stick with the same safe 3-lane maps, which is totally fine, but at least expand on it a little bit. Like, make something crazy, something that doesn't fit the mold. And then they shift all their efforts into Warzone and microtransactions. I wanted to find some development costs for these games, but I can't find it. But I did see that Call of Duty Cold War was made for $700 million. At least that was the budget. Like, come on, man. It was an okay game, but almost $1 billion to make that. Just seems like so many of these companies are trying to recreate Fortnite's system without trying to innovate like Fortnite did. Every AAA studio has fucking microtransactions and battle passes up the ass, man. I mean, they're dumping almost $1 billion to make these games and then trying to rake it all back in with these battle passes. But all I'm saying is a change the movement and a reskin gun. Cool, man. Now, I know Fortnite gets a whole lot of shit, but it really reinvented the wheel when it came to its gameplay system. It drew income in like Diddy to baby oil, man. Listen, I like Fortnite for the first year or two. The whole charm kind of wore off of it, but God, that game really messed with the ecosystem for literally a decade to come because everywhere I look it's just microtransaction hell, and I feel like I can't walk 2 feet without seeing a battle pass shoved into my face. I want to make a whole video about microtransactions in the future because they absolutely deserve it. They're complete shit, and yeah, I recommend you just stay away from them as much as you can. But I don't want to keep you around here for an extra 10 minutes yapping about that garbage. Nonetheless, I feel like we're at a weird, yet good turning point when it comes to this because people are really just kind of fed up with it. People are boycotting things like Call of Duty and other AAA developers in favor for indie games. People are telling Xbox to go to hell because they're trying to charge $30 for basically no reason besides fuck you. And we are seeing a small rise of small dev teams in the indie game scene where they actually care about games they make and will allow the creative freedom to flow. I'll probably make a follow-up video on this. I definitely left a lot of AAA games out that do deserve some praise, like Elden Ring, for example, and do deserve some shit, not like Elden Ring. I just wanted to talk about a few that were on the tip of my mind today. Anyways, if you guys can subscribe if you guys like this video and made it this far, that'd be much appreciated. I love you. Goodbye.